Kossuth by James Russell Lowell. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. Kossuth. A race of nobles may die out, a royal line may leave no heir, Wise Nature sets no guards about her pewter plate and wooden ware. But they fail not, the kinglier breed, whose starry diadems attain, To dungeon, axe, and stake succeed, heirs of the old heroic strain. The zeal of Nature never cools, nor is she thwarted of her ends; When gapped and dulled her cheaper tools, then she a saint and prophet spends. Land of the Magyars! though it be the tyrant may relink his chain, Already thine the victory, as the just future measures gain. Thou hast succeeded, thou hast won the deathly travail's amplest worth, A nation's duty thou hast done, giving a hero to our earth. And he, let come what will of woe, has saved the land he strove to save; No Cossack hordes, no traitor's blow, can quench the voice shall haunt his grave. I Kossuth am, O Future, thou that clear'st the just and blott'st the vile, O'er this small dust in reverence bow, remembering what I was erewhile. I was the chosen trump, wherethrough our God sent forth awakening breath; Came chains, came death, the strain he blew sounds on, outliving chains and death. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To Lamartine by James Russell Lowell. Read for LibriVox.org by Ross Klatte, April 2nd, 2K16, Roebuck, South Carolina. To Lamartine, 1848. I did not praise thee when the crowd, witched with the moment's inspiration, Vexed thy still ether with hosannas loud, and stamped their dusty adoration. I but looked upward with the rest, and, when they shouted greatest, whispered best. They raised thee not, but rose to thee, their fickle wreaths about thee flinging, So on some marble Phoebus the high sea might leave his worthless seaweed clinging, But pious hands with reverent care make the pure limbs once more sublimely bare. Now thou'rt thy plain grand self again, thou art secure from panegyric, Thou who gav'st politics an epic strain, and actedst freedom's noblest lyric. This side the Blessed Isles, no tree grows green enough to make a wreath for thee. Nor can blame cling to thee. The snow from swinish footprints takes no staining, but, leaving the gross soils of earth below, its spirit mounts, the skies regaining, and unresenting falls again, to beautify the world with dews and rain. The highest duty to mere man vouchsafed was laid on thee. Out of wild chaos, when the roused popular ocean foamed and chafed, and vulture war from his Emmaus snuffed blood, to summon homely peace, and to show that only order is release. To carve thy fullest thought, what though time was not granted? In history, like that dawn's face which baffled Angelo, left shapeless, grander for its mystery, Thy great design shall stand, and day flood its blind front from Orients far away. Who says thy day is o'er? Control, my heart, that bitter first emotion, while men shall reverence the steadfast soul, the heart in silent self-devotion breaking, the mild heroic mien. Thou'lt need no prop of marble, Lamartine. If France reject thee, 'tis not thine, but her own exile that she utters. Ideal France, the deathless, the divine, will be where thy white pennon flutters, as once the nobler Athens went with Aristides into banishment. No fitting meat wand hath today for measuring spirits of thy stature. Only the future can reach up to lay the laurel on that lofty nature, bard who with some diviner art has touched the bard's true lyre, a nation's heart. Swept by thy hand, the gladdened chords, crashed now in discords fierce by others, gave forth one note beyond all skill of words, and chimed together, "We are brothers." O poem unsurpassed, it ran all round the world, unlocking man to man. France is too poor to pay alone the service of that ample spirit. Paltry seem low dictatorship and throne, if balanced with thy simple merit. They had to thee been rust and loss. Thy aim was higher. Thou hast climbed a cross. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. To John G. Palfrey by James Russell Lowell. Read for LibriVox.org by Ross Klatte, April 2nd, 2K16, Roebuck, South Carolina. To John G. Palfrey. There are who triumph in a losing cause, who can put on defeat as 'twere a wreath unwithering in the adverse popular breath, safe from the blasting demagogue's applause. 'Tis they who stand for freedom and God's laws. And so stands Palfrey now, as Marvell stood, loyal to truth dethroned, nor could be wooed to trust the playful tiger's velvet paws. And if the second Charles brought in decay of ancient virtue, if it well might wring souls that had broadened 'neath a nobler day, to see a losel, marketable king fearfully watering with his realm's best blood Cromwell's quenched bolts, that erst had cracked and flamed, scaring through all the depths of courtier mud Europe's crowned bloodsuckers. How more ashamed ought we to be, who see corruption's flood still rise o'er last year's mark, to mine away our brazen idols' feet of treacherous clay. Oh, utter degradation! Freedom turned slavery's vile bawd, to cozen and betray to the old lecher's clutch a maiden prey, if so a loathsome pander's fee be earned. And we are silent, we who daily tread a soil sublime, at least, with heroes' graves. Beckon no more, shades of the noble dead, be dumb, ye heaven-touched lips of winds and waves. Or hope to rouse some Coptic dullard, hid ages ago, wrapped stiffly, fold on fold, with cerements close, to wither in the cold, forever hushed and sunless pyramid. Beauty and truth, and all that these contain, drop not like ripened fruit about our feet. We climb to them through years of sweat and pain. Without long struggle, none did e'er attain the downward look from quiet's blissful seat. Though present loss may be the hero's part, yet none can rob him of the victor heart, whereby the broad-realmed future is subdued, and wrong, which now insults from triumph's car, sending her vulture hope to raven far, is made unwilling tributary of good. O Mother State, how quenched thy Sinai fires! Is there none left of thy staunch Mayflower breed? No spark among the ashes of thy sires, of virtue's altar flame the kindling seed? Are these thy great men, these that cringe and creep and writhe through slimy ways to place and power? How long, O Lord, before thy wrath shall reap our frail stemmed summer prosperings in their flower? Oh, for 1 hour of that undaunted stock that went with Vane and Sidney to the block! Oh, for a whiff of Naseby, that would sweep, with its stern Puritan besom, all this chaff from the Lord's threshing floor! Yet more than half the victory is attained, when one or two, through the fool's laughter and the traitor's scorn, Beside thy sepulchre can abide the morn, crucified Truth, when thou shalt rise anew. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To W. L. Garrison by James Russell Lowell. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. To W. L. Garrison. Some time afterward it was reported to me by the city officers that they had ferreted out the paper and its editor, that his office was an obscure hole, his only visible auxiliary a negro boy, and his supporters a few very insignificant persons of all colors. Letter of H. G. Otis. In a small chamber, friendless and unseen, toiled over his types one poor unlearned young man. The place was dark, unfurnitured, and mean, yet there the freedom of a race began. Help came but slowly. Surely no man yet put lever to the heavy world with less. What need of help? He knew how types were set. He had a dauntless spirit, and a press. Such earnest natures are the fiery pith, the compact nucleus round which systems grow. Mass after mass becomes inspired therewith, and worlds impregnate with the central glow. O truth, O freedom, how are ye still born, in the rude stable, in the manger nursed? What humble hands unbar those gates of morn, through which the splendors of the new day burst? What! Shall one monk, scarce known beyond his cell, front Rome's far-reaching bolts, and scorn her frown? Brave Luther answered yes, that thunder's swell rocked Europe, and discharmed the Triple Crown. Whatever can be known of earth we know, sneered Europe's wise men, in their snail-shells curled. No, said one man in Genoa, and that no, out of the dark created this new world. Who is it will not dare himself to trust? Who is it hath not strength to stand alone? Who is it thwarts and bilks the inward must? He and his works, like sand, from earth are blown. Men of 1,000 shifts and wiles, look here. See one straightforward conscience put in pawn, to win a world. See the obedient sphere, by bravery's simple gravitation drawn. Shall we not heed the lesson taught of old, and by the present's lips repeated still? In our own single manhood to be bold, fortressed in conscience and impregnable will. We stride the river daily at its spring, nor in our childish thoughtlessness foresee what myriad vessel streams shall tribute bring, how like an equal it shall greet the sea. O small beginnings, ye are great and strong, based on a faithful heart and weariless brain. Ye build the future fair, ye conquer wrong, ye earn the crown, and wear it not in vain. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
On the Death of C.T. Torrey by James Russell Lowell. Read for LibriVox.org by Ross Klatte, April 4th, 2K16, Roebuck, South Carolina. On the Death of C.T. Torrey. Woe worth the hour when it is crime to plead the poor dumb bondman's cause, when all that makes the heart sublime, the glorious throbs that conquer time, are traitors to our cruel laws. He strove among God's suffering poor one gleam of brotherhood to send. The dungeon oped its hungry door to give the truth one martyr more, then shut, and here behold the end. O Mother State, when this was done, no pitying throe thy bosom gave. Silent thou saw'st the death shroud spun, and now thou givest to thy son the stranger's charity, a grave. Must it be thus forever? No! The hand of God sows not in vain. Long sleeps the darkling seed below. The seasons come, and change, and go, and all the fields are deep with grain. Although our brother lie asleep, man's heart still struggles, still aspires. His grave shall quiver yet, while deep through the brave Bay State's pulses leap her ancient energies and fires. When hours like this the senses gush have stilled, and left the spirit room, it hears amid the eternal hush the swooping pinion's dreadful rush, that brings the vengeance and the doom. Not man's brute vengeance, such as rends what rivets man to man apart. God doth not so bring round his ends, but waits the ripened time, and sends his mercy to the oppressor's heart. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Elegy on the Death of Dr. Channing by James Russell Lowell. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. Elegy on the Death of Dr. Channing. I do not come to weep above thy pall, and mourn the dying out of noble powers. The poet's clearer eye should see, in all earth's seeming woe, the seed of heaven's flowers. Truth needs no champions. In the infinite deep of everlasting soul her strength abides. From nature's heart her mighty pulses leap, through nature's veins her strength undying tides. Peace is more strong than war, and gentleness, where force were vain, makes conquest o'er the wave, and love lives on and hath a power to bless when they who loved are hidden in the grave. The sculptured marble brags of death-strewn fields, and glory's epitaph is writ in blood, but Alexander now to Plato yields. Clarkson will stand where Wellington hath stood. I watch the circle of the eternal years, and read forever in the storied page one lengthened roll of blood, and wrong, and tears, one onward step of truth from age to age. The poor are crushed, the tyrants link their chain, the poet sings through narrow dungeon grates. Man's hope lies quenched, and lo, with steadfast gain, freedom doth forge her mail of adverse fates. Men slay the prophets, faggot, rack, and cross make up the groaning record of the past. But evil's triumphs are her endless loss, and sovereign beauty wins the soul at last. No power can die that ever wrought for truth, thereby a law of nature it became, and life's unwithered in its sinewy youth, when he who called it forth is but a name. Therefore I cannot think thee wholly gone, the better part of thee is with us still. Thy soul its hampering clay aside hath thrown, and only freer wrestles with the ill. Thou livest in the life of all good things. What words thou speak'st for freedom shall not die. Thou sleepest not, for now thy love hath wings, to soar where hence thy hope could hardly fly. And often from that other world on this some gleams from great souls gone before may shine, to shed on struggling hearts a clearer bliss, and clothe the right with lustre more divine. Thou art not idle, in thy higher sphere thy spirit bends itself to loving tasks, and strength to perfect what it dreamed of here is all the crown and glory that it asks. For sure in heaven's wide chambers there is room for love and pity and for helpful deeds, else were our summons thither but a doom to life more vain than this in clayey weeds. From off the starry mountain peak of song thy spirit shows me in the coming time an earth unwithered by the foot of wrong, a race revering its own soul sublime. What wars, what martyrdoms, what crimes may come, thou knowest not, nor I, but God will lead the prodigal soul from want and sorrow home, and Eden ope her gates to Adam's seed. Farewell, good man, good angel now, this hand soon, like thine own, shall lose its cunning too. Soon shall this soul, like thine, bewildered stand, then leap to thread the free, unfathomed blue. When that day comes, oh, may this hand grow cold, busy, like thine, for freedom and the right. Oh, may this soul, like thine, be ever bold, to face dark slavery's encroaching blight. This laurel leaf I cast upon thy bier, let worthier hands than these thy wreath entwine. Upon thy hearse I shed no useless tear, for us weep rather, thou in calm divine. 1842. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. To the Memory of Hood, by James Russell Lowell. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. To the Memory of Hood. Another star 'neath time's horizon dropped, to gleam o'er unknown lands and seas. Another heart that beat for freedom stopped. What mournful words are these! O love divine, that claspest our tired earth, and lullest it upon thy heart, thou knowest how much a gentle soul is worth, to teach men what thou art. His was a spirit that to all thy poor was kind as slumber after pain. Why ope so soon thy heaven deep quiet store, and call him home again? Freedom needs all her poets, it is they who give her aspirations wings, and to the wiser law of music sway her wild imaginings. Yet thou hast called him, nor art thou unkind, O love divine, for 'tis thy will that gracious natures leave their love behind, to work for freedom still. Let laureled marbles sway on other tombs, let anthems peal for other dead, rustling the bannered depth of minster glooms with their exulting spread. His epitaph shall mock the short-lived stone, no lichen shall its lines efface. He needs these few and simple lines alone to mark his resting place. Here lies a poet. Stranger, if to thee his claim to memory be obscure, if thou wouldst learn how truly great was he, go, ask it of the poor. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
L'Envoi by James Russell Lowell. Read for LibriVox.org by Ross Klatte. April 4th, 2K16, Roebuck, South Carolina. L'Envoi. Whether my heart hath wiser grown or not, in these 3 years since I to thee inscribed, mine own betrothed, the firstlings of my muse, poor windfalls of unripe experience, young buds plucked hastily by childish hands not patient to await more full-blown flowers, at least it hath seen more of life and men, and pondered more, and grown a shade more sad, yet with no loss of hope or settled trust in the benignness of that Providence which shapes from out our elements awry the grace and order that we wonder at, the mystic harmony of right and wrong, both working out His wisdom and our good. A trust, beloved, chiefly learned of thee, who hast that gift of patient tenderness, the instinctive wisdom of a woman's heart. They tell us that our land was made for song, with its huge rivers and sky-piercing peaks, its sea-like lakes and mighty cataracts, its forests vast and hoar, and prairies wide, and mounds that tell of wondrous tribes extinct. But poesy springs not from rocks and woods. Her womb and cradle are the human heart, and she can find a nobler theme for song in the most loathsome man that blasts the sight than in the broad expanse of sea and shore between the frozen deserts of the poles. All nations have their message from on high, each the Messiah of some central thought, for the fulfillment and delight of man. One has to teach that labor is divine, another freedom, and another mind, and all that God is open-eyed and just, the happy center and calm heart of all. Are then our woods, our mountains, and our streams needful to teach our poets how to sing? O maiden rare, far other thoughts were ours, when we have sat by ocean's foaming marge and watched the waves leap roaring on the rocks, than young Leander and his hero had, gazing from Sestos to the other shore. The moon looks down, and ocean worships her. Stars rise and set, and seasons come and go, even as they did in Homer's elder time, but we behold them not with Grecian eyes. Then they were types of beauty and of strength, but now of freedom unconfined and pure, subject alone to order's higher law. What cares the Russian serf or Southern slave, though we should speak as man spake never yet of gleaming Hudson's broad magnificence, or green Niagara's never-ending roar? Our country hath a gospel of her own to preach and practice before all the world, the freedom and divinity of man, the glorious claims of human brotherhood, which to pay nobly as a freeman should, gains the sole wealth that will not fly away, and the soul's fealty to none but God. These are realities which make the shows of outward nature, be they ne'er so grand, seem small and worthless and contemptible. These are the mountain summits for our bards, which stretch far upward into heaven itself, and give such widespread and exulting view of hope and faith and onward destiny, that shrunk Parnassus to a molehill dwindles. Our new Atlantis, like a morning star, silvers the murk face of slow-yielding night, the herald of a fuller truth than yet hath gleamed upon the upraised face of man since the earth glittered in her stainless prime, of a more glorious sunrise than of old drew wondrous melodies from Memnon huge, yea, draws them still, though now he sits waist deep in the engulfing flood of whirling sand, and looks across the wastes of endless grey, sole wreck, where once his 100-gated Thebes pained with her mighty hum the calm blue heaven. Shall the dull stone pay grateful orisons, and we till noonday bar the splendour out, lest it reproach and chide our sluggard hearts, warm nestled in the down of prejudice, and be content, though clad with angel wings, close clipped, to hop about from perch to perch in paltry cages of dead men's dead thoughts? Oh, rather, like the skylark, soar and sing, and let our gushing songs befit the dawn and sunrise, and the yet unshaken dew brimming the chalice of each full-blown hope, whose blithe front turns to greet the growing day. Never had poets such high call before, never can poets hope for higher one, and, if they be but faithful to their trust, earth will remember them with love and joy, and oh, far better, God will not forget. For he who settles freedom's principles writes the death warrant of all tyranny, who speaks the truth stabs falsehood to the heart, and his mere word makes despots tremble more than ever Brutus with his dagger could. Wait for no hints from waterfalls or woods, nor dream that tales of red men, brute and fierce, repay the finding of this western world, or needed half the globe to give them birth. Spirit supreme of freedom! Not for this did great Columbus tame his eagle soul to jostle with the daws that perch in courts. Not for this, friendless on an unknown sea, coping with mad waves and more mutinous spirits, battled he with the dreadful ache at heart which tempts, with devilish subtleties of doubt, the hermit of that loneliest solitude, the silent desert of a great new thought. Though loud Niagara were today struck dumb, yet would this cataract of boiling life rush plunging on and on to endless deeps and utter thunder till the world shall cease, a thunder worthy of the poet's song, and which alone can fill it with true life. The high evangel to our country granted could make apostles, yea, with tongues of fire, of hearts half darkened back again to clay. 'Tis the soul only that is national, and he who pays true loyalty to that alone can claim the wreath of patriotism. Beloved, if I wander far and oft from that which I believe, and feel, and know, thou wilt forgive, not with a sorrowing heart, but with a strengthened hope of better things, knowing that I, though often blind and false to those I love, and oh, more false than all unto myself, have been most true to thee, and that, whoso in one thing hath been true, can be as true in all. Therefore thy hope may yet not prove unfruitful, and thy love meet day by day, with less unworthy thanks; Whether, as now, we journey hand in hand, Or, parted in the body, yet are one In spirit and the love of holy things. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.